everybody, and today we're going to talk about borrowed stress. And this is what it feels like when someone is going through something and you feel that even as they're going through something emotional, like a breakdown, a spiral, you're going through it too. You're feeling what they're feeling. It may be a family member, it may be a friend, it may be a coworker. The tricky part is that your body often can't tell the difference between I'm in danger and someone I'm attached to is distressed. Attachment is powerful. If you're bonded to someone, their threat response can wake up yours. You can start matching their pace, their urgency, their catastrophizing, like two tuning forks vibrating together. In close relationships, you can also fall into roles without realizing it. One person becomes a storm and the other becomes the emergency services. The storm gets to stay dysregulated because someone else is always on call. The emergency services person gets lauded for being supportive, dependable, mature. But inside, they're exhausted and resentful and secretly terrified of what happens if they stop. If you overwhelmingly feel someone else's stress, the first thing to do is pause long enough to name what's happening. Not with judgment, just with honesty. This feels like stress. But is it mine? That question alone can create a tiny pocket of space between you and the emotion. Sometimes you'll realize, no, I was actually fine before this conversation. Sometimes you'll realize it's a mix, that their stress landed on a tiny, tender spot you already had. Or you'll notice that you'll walk into a room and start talking with someone, and all of a sudden you feel that emotional burden. Either way, naming it turns the volume down a notch because you're no longer fused with it. You're observing it. Then it helps to come back to your body because borrowed stress is often a body experience before it's a thought. Your shoulders rise, your breath gets shallow, your stomach tightens, your mind speeds up. If you try to reason your way out of that state without grounding, it can feel like trying to convince yourself you're not drowning while you're still underwater. Do the simple, unglamorous things that tell your nervous system it's allowed to stand down. Slow your exhale. Put your feet on the floor and actually feel the contact. Unclench your jaw. Drop your shoulders. Look around the room and notice where you are. If it sounds too basic, that's kind of the point. Your body learns safety through repetition, not through cleverness. Once you've steadied yourself even a little, you can decide what kind of support is actually yours to offer. This is where a lot of empathic people get stuck because they confuse feeling someone's stress with being obligated to fix it. But support isn't the same as absorption. You can care without becoming a sponge. You can listen without carrying. You can be kind without joining the panic. Sometimes the most compassionate thing you can do is refuse to match their urgency. When someone is spiraling, they often want you to spiral with them because it feels like validation. If you stay calm, it can feel to them like you're minimizing. But staying calm can also be an anchor. You can say, I hear how stressed you are, and I'm here with you. And we're not going to solve this by panicking faster. That kind of presence can be hard because it asks you to tolerate their discomfort without trying to sedate it with solutions. And yes, there are moments when solutions are needed, but borrowed stress tends to trick you into problem solving as a way to regulate yourself. You start offering plans and scripts and advice because their anxiety is making you anxious, and fixing it feels like the fastest exit. So check in with your motive. Am I helping because it's useful or because I can't stand how this feels in my body? If it's the second one, you may need to step back before you step in. Boundaries are the other piece people tend to avoid, mostly because they've been taught that boundaries are cold. But boundaries are often what make love sustainable. If you're constantly overwhelmed by someone else's stress, you may need to change the shape of your contact with them. That can mean shortening intense conversations, taking breaks, not responding immediately, or being honest about what you can and can't hold. It can mean saying, I can talk about this for 10 minutes, but then I need to switch topics. Or I want to support you, but I'm not able to be your only outlet. Or I'm noticing this is starting to affect my mental health, so I need to step back a bit. That kind of honesty can feel scary, especially if the other person is used to you being their emotional landing pad. They might push back. They might act hurt. They might accuse you of not caring. But someone else's reaction to your boundary doesn't automatically mean your boundary is wrong. It often just means the old system is being disrupted. And if the relationship only works when you're over-functioning, it's worth asking what that relationship is really asking of you. There's also the quieter work of separating your identity from being the person who carries things. Many of us learned early that love equals labor, that being needed is the closest thing to being secure. So when someone else is stressed, we rush in, not only because we care, but because we don't know who we are if we're not indispensable. Letting go of borrowed stress can bring up strange feelings like guilt or emptiness. If I'm not holding this, am I still a good friend, partner, daughter, co-worker? If I'm not managing their mood, what's my role? It can help to remember that you're allowed to be a person in the room, not just a container. Your feelings matter. Your bandwidth matters. Your nervous system matters. And in a healthy relationship, that shouldn't be controversial. In fact, when you stop absorbing someone else's stress, you often make room for them to grow. If you're always soothing, translating, fixing, and buffering, they may never learn to soothe themselves. Your boundaries can become an invitation for them to build their own regulation muscles, or to reach for broader support, or to get help if they need it. One more thing that's worth saying out loud is that borrowed stress isn't always about a single person. Sometimes it's the room. Certain workplaces, friend groups, and family gatherings have a collective emotional climate, and if you're sensitive, you feel it like weather. If you regularly leave certain environments feeling shaky or drained, it might not be about your resilience. It might be about the environment. In that case, the answer isn't to try harder. The answer is to recover intentionally afterwards, and when possible, to limit how often you're in that climate. And recovery matters. When you've been carrying stress that isn't yours, you need a way to give it back, even if only symbolically. Some people do that through movement, like a walk where you imagine the tension draining out with each step. Some people need solitude and quiet. Some people need to talk to someone who can hold them for a change. Some people need to write down what they're feeling and then close the notebook like a door. The method doesn't matter as much as the message you're sending yourself. I'm not a dumping ground. I'm allowed to come back to myself. If this is a pattern you've lived with for a long time, it can be really helpful to get curious about where it started. Maybe you grew up around unpredictable emotions and learned to read the room to stay safe. Maybe you were lauded for being mature, helpful, the easy one. Maybe you learned that other people's feelings were louder than yours, so you got good at tending to them. Those skills can look like empathy on the surface, but underneath, they can be survival strategies that never got updated. You're not broken for doing this. You're just using an old map. The goal isn't to stop caring. The goal is to care in a way that doesn't cost you your peace. To be present without being consumed. To notice when stress is contagious and choose not to catch it. That's a practice, not a switch. And you'll probably get it wrong sometimes. You'll still find yourself tensing up after a phone call or lying awake worrying about someone else's mess. But every time you notice and return to yourself, you're building a different kind of strength. Not the strength of carrying more, but the strength of staying rooted while you love people. And honestly, that's what makes relationships feel lighter over time. Not because life stops being stressful, but because you stop mistaking other people's storms for your responsibility to weather. You can stand beside them with an umbrella. You just don't have to be the sky.